Hello everyone. I hope all of you are doing good. So in today's video, we're going to discuss the important questions from three poems: Dust of Snow, Fire and Ice, and A Tiger in the Zoo. So please make sure you watch this video before your examination so that you're thorough with all the possible questions that could come from this topic. So let's begin. So first we're going to go through the questions from the poem Dust of Snow. Let's go to the first question. In the poem Dust of Snow, what changed his mood and how did it change? So I've written a sample answer. In the poem, a crow shook some dust of snow onto the poet and it uplifted his mood from a day he was regretting. So if you remember in the poem, it says that from a day that I had rued. So rued means regretted or repented. So even repenting you can write. Okay, let's go to the second question. Why has the poet particularly mentioned crow and a hemlock tree? So a crow is considered as an inauspicious bird and a sign of bad omen. Also, the hemlock tree is a poisonous tree that is associated with the dark and dangerous side of nature. So that is why they're asking, why are two negative things mentioned? So the next sentence is very important. So the poet has chosen an unconventional bird and a tree to signify that negative aspects can bring a ray of hope and joy in life. So even negative aspects can bring positivity in life and can be beneficial to us in a fruitful way. So the next question, where does the crow perch on? Perch means sit. The crow perched on a hemlock tree. Oh, sorry, there's this typing error. It is tree. Okay, let's move to the next question. What does the snow symbolize in the poem Dust of Snow? So the snow symbolized joy, or you can write happiness, energy, and vitality in the poem, because it is only when the snow fell on the poet that it changed his mood and saved the part of the day in which he had rued. That means he became happy. That is why the snow symbolizes happiness and it gave him the energy and vitality that he needed, that was missing in his day. What is the theme of the poem Dust of Snow? So the poem shows the healing power of nature and how nature can uplift someone's mood when they are feeling sad. Also, insignificant things or everyday events in nature can have a profound impact and significantly impact them in a fruitful manner. So here it was just sitting under a tree, snow fell on him and it changed his mood. So the poet also wants to say that everyday events can also help us and have a profound impact on us and help us. So profound impact means a deep impact. Who wrote the poem Dust of Snow? You should know that it is Robert Frost. And even the poem Fire and Ice is written by Robert Frost. Let's go to the next poem, Fire and Ice. In the poem, what does fire and what does ice symbolize? In the poem, fire symbolizes desire, fury, anger, and ego, while ice symbolizes the human trait of indifference, insensitiveness, intolerance, or coldness to others. Which two apocalyptic situations are mentioned in the poem? Apocalyptic means that can cause the end. So some people predict the world will end in fire, and some say the world will end in ice. So the two apocalyptic situations are the world ending, one because of fire, and the other is the world ending because of ice. What does the poet say to believe that the world will end in fire? So if you remember in the poem, he says that from what I tasted of desire, I hold with those who favor fire. So they're asking, why does he support the world ending in fire? So this is the answer. The poet Robert Frost says that from having experienced desire, he believes that the burning desire of ego is a strong consuming emotion that will cause conflict and so will ultimately cause the destruction of the world, because he says that the burning desire of ego is so strong that it can cause conflict among people and will ultimately cause the destruction of the world. The next question is also very important. Though fire and ice are opposites, how are they similar? So, though fire and ice are two elements that are perceived to be total opposites, they are equally powerful to be destructive, and hence they might not be so different after all. So, why? Because they are equally powerful to be destructive, because the world can end with fire as well as through ice as well. The fifth question: if the world had to perish twice, which way of destruction is also great? So, if you remember in the second stanza, the poet mentions this. So, let's go to the answer. If the world would end twice, the poet says that he has experienced enough hate to believe that destruction through ice, which he means to be indifference, coldness, and insensitivity, would be equally powerful to cause the end of the world. So he has also experienced enough hate to believe that this method also will cause the end of the world. Sixth, what message did the poet want to convey through the poem? This is again an important question. The poet wants to convey that the human emotions are so powerful that if emotions such as ego and hatred are left unchecked, or if they are not controlled, it has the capacity to wipe out the entire human race. Therefore, we humans should let go of such consuming emotions and be more compassionate towards each other. We should be more caring towards each other, and we should let go of such strong emotions. Otherwise, it would lead to the end of humanity. Such a beautiful poem. Though it is very short, both the poems Dust of Snow and Fire of Ice have very strong messages to take home. Now let's go to the poem A Tiger in the Zoo. So, who wrote the poem A Tiger in the Zoo? It is written by Leslie Norris. So, he's the poet. You should know. Okay. What does the tiger feel in the cage? The tiger is confined. Confined means enclosed in a small cage that restricts its movement. He isn't happy, and because it feels helpless, it expresses itself in a way of suppressed anger, because there is nothing that the tiger could do there. It is enclosed in a small cage and it is able to take only a few steps in its cage because of its restricted movements, and it is not happy. But there is nothing that the tiger can do. It is helpless because it is inside the cage, and that is why The tiger is expressing itself in quiet rage. Quiet rage means in a suppressed anger. So the poet has used oxymoron here, where two opposite meaning words are put right next to each other. Rage means anger, but here is quiet. The next question, what would the tiger do if it was in its natural habitat? So if the tiger was in its natural habitat, the tiger would lurk in the darkness and conceal itself in long grasses. Conceal means hide. It would also pounce and catch its prey near the water hole where plump deer would come to quench its thirst. Also, it would snarl around houses situated at the jungle's edge, and it would bare its teeth and claws in order to terrorize and induce fear among the villagers. So, if you see here, the primal urge, that is, it's a God given urge for the tiger is to pounce on the animal that it will eat and tear its flesh because of its sharp claws and sharp teeth and eat it. That is a primal urge of a tiger to do. Also, these wild animals, they like to terrorize and induce fear among the villagers where it would bare its sharp teeth and claws towards other people. But instead of baring his teeth and terrorizing the people, what is the tiger doing in the zoo? The tiger feels helpless and is rendered powerless because he is confined in a small concrete cell and all his strength is controlled. Hence, the only thing the tiger is able to do is walk across the length of the cage and ignore the visitors, which is a stark contrast to its natural instinct. So, what is the natural instinct? Natural instinct is to bare its sharp teeth and claws and terrorize and induce fear among the villagers. But rather than doing that, it is just ignoring the people here because he feels that its strength is controlled. Fifth question, what does the tiger hear at night? The tiger hears the patrolling of vehicles and it signifies that it is living in an artificial environment because if a tiger was living in the grassland, it would never hear such voices. And it is looking at the infinite sky quite helplessly because there's nothing else that the tiger can do there. What is the poet trying to tell us happens when the animals are kept in the zoo? So, when the animals are imprisoned behind bars, they lose their freedom of movement as they're trapped in small cages. That is why the poet mentions, right, a few steps of his cage. That is why. Okay. Not only this, but they also lose their primal urge when they are trapped in this artificial environment, which is quite opposite to their natural habitat. So I told you the primal urge was to pounce on the prey and tear the flesh and eat it. But here it is losing that primal urge. Moreover, the animals feel pain, despair, frustration, agony, and yet are quite helpless. So we also know that that the tiger is feeling anger because of what is mentioned in the first stanza on pads of velvet quiet in his quiet rage. And also it says, right, he's ignoring his visitors and all that he does is stare with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. So it shows the helplessness of the animal. Seventh, what lesson should we learn from the poem? The poem teaches us an important lesson that freedom is a birthright and even animals deserve to be free. We humans are selfish and we derive pleasure at the cost of other living creatures. So we derive our happiness by putting them in cages and restricting their freedom. So we should be more compassionate towards them and let them be free and allow them to be wild and untamed. Okay, I hope so much is clear. Let's go to the next one. What does the lion mean and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant sky? The tiger is held in captivity in a cage and it is looking at the open sky, which symbolizes freedom. So the tiger is yearning for freedom and wants to go into the open. That is what that line means. So I hope you found this video beneficial, and please go and watch the individual videos of the explanation of these poems, because I have also mentioned the literary devices and the themes in each of these poems. If you haven't subscribed, please do it, because there are umpteen number of videos that I upload that will help you improve your English. May God bless you and fulfill all your wishes. God bless and take care.